Ooh.
It's been forever, man.
I feel like I feel like we haven't done this in a long time, but the truth is we were just on 2 days ago.
I mean, we haven't talked to F1 in a long time. You and I see each other all the damn time
I
because we're
know.
like kids. But look at this, man. Bernie was ready to go
Bernie was
nine on the
ready,
dot. He's
baby.
like, it is time for some F1.
Oh man, we're excited about this. Welcome back to Hitting the Apex for the rewatch crew, because I know we'll probably get some rewatches. It's been a long time coming. We're excited. There's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of things going on in the world of Formula One. We haven't, to be quite honest with you, I'm gonna be honest, right? Like there has been so much going on with Miami football, with Miami Hurricanes football. There it is, baby. Appreciate the dono, baby.
That's a
From
super
Tap.
chat.
Everyone, how much we have missed you. Glad to have a pit crew back for another season. Super excited for D2S season 2, baby.
I guess we should. Moni is still on the show.
She is. And look, hold on a second. Before we talk about that.
All right.
Sexy time, Alex. Bang.
Oh,
Alex is on the show. Let's go, baby.
Look at this.
Man.
All our old friends are here.
I know. I'm excited about this. Yeah, Moni is still on the show. She's just again, she's the real journalist out of all of us. So she's out there covering a big event. I don't know, Premio Lo Nuestro or something like that.
Some kind of award show.
Yeah. Season 5, but it is HTA season 2, baby.
Yeah. We don't count the prequels before we were there, so it's really only season 2.
Yeah, it's only season 2. It's hitting the Apex. Hitting the Apex season 2. Evan was going to try to make. I appreciate you, Freddie, keeping in touch with Evan. So, shout out to Evan and everybody else, the rewatch crew that's going to come on later on as well. So we're excited. We're excited because the 2023 season for Formula One is upon us. Week and a half now, right?
Week and a half.
So the teams are in Bahrain already, doing some testing, and they've all got the new liveries, which we will talk about in a little while.
Yeah, and I think the testing officially kicks off. We'll get to this a little bit later, but tomorrow. So we're going in blind. We don't know who sucks yet,
but chances are that Lewis Hamilton is going to say that Mercedes sucks. Leclerc and Sainz are going to say that they're not ready yet. Max might be like, I'm the best in the world. I don't give a crap about anything. Checo's going to be the humble one and be like, well, the car's not testing too great yet, and then of course Williams is going to be like, we're ready to go. We're going to win this constructor. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about it all. So it's interesting. We got a lot to cover today. Believe it or not. I mean, it's believable. We haven't.
This is what happens when you take off season off. Like, we gotta go all the way back through everything.
Man, we were just so bombarded, as Fernie knows and the rest of the crew knows, with Miami Hurricanes news and notes, that it's just been nonstop there, and it's kind of overwhelming.
I will say, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but with 23 races now, that is, when you get that off season,
we needed a break.
I'm not gonna lie, even without the Kaiser, I don't know that we probably would have done maybe a show or two, but I don't think it would have been that much. We also did some World Cup shows in the middle because that was in December, because of course it was. So,
which by the way, speaking of World Cup, Real Madrid putting a hurting on Liverpool yesterday.
Yes.
So pretty excited about that too, as they continue to dominate in that Champions League tournament. So that's awesome. We had to throw that in there.
Yeah, you got to get that in.
But yeah. Anyways, so what are you excited about this year, Vish? I mean, I know we got a lot to cover, but the truth is, we're talking about new liveries, new drivers, new engine suppliers coming up soon the next couple of years. Some new teams trying to get in the mix and come on board. So there's a lot of things going on, right? What are you most excited about?
So, I think at the top level, you want that competitive championship. And by the end of the year, Red Bull was so dominant, it wasn't really realistic. I'm looking at Ferrari and Mercedes to try and make it competitive. And I like, that we'll get into this a little bit, that Ferrari decided to go with a different strategic direction, euphemistically saying. So I'm excited to see if they can, they gotta, both those teams need to maximize their car if they're going to compete with Red Bull. So, that's what I'm looking at, and really, I'm excited. They both, and there's some big shakeups at Mercedes too. So, I think those are kind of wild cards. Maybe one of them can get up near the top.
Right.
But that's definitely like I would say if there's one thing, it's Ferrari getting a new team boss. So maybe they'll be competitive.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Look, I'm actually excited about that, just considering, obviously I'm a Ferrari fan, but like, just it's just the tomfoolery of it all last year with Binotto and everything that was going on with him and the team, and it just seemed like a clown show. And so hopefully that changes. Hopefully, whether the direction is the right one or not, it's going to be a change. And yeah, I mean, we're hoping that it changes for the better, and that they come. I mean, look, obviously we know, right? The opportunity was there for Ferrari last year to do better than what they did, and they ended up, scooting the pooch or whatever you want to call it, with a couple of those, well, more than a couple of those races, and a couple of obviously their strategies were all screwed up. So,
Yeah, it's
this
hard.
this might help. This might
It,
help.
it, it's hard to remember that Ferrari was by far the fastest car for first quarter, third of the season,
Yeah.
and they were behind in the points anyway.
Yep.
And that was just mismanaged races. And actually, even if you look back at the stats, as dominant as Max was, and you look at like, how come he didn't have more poles? It's because Ferrari was faster at the beginning of the year, but they just
Yeah.
kept screwing it up. And I am gonna miss, getting to turn 3 or 4 and having them come on the radio and saying, "What do you think about Plan N?" Or
Well,
like,
you're gonna hear it a lot in Drive to Survive. You're gonna hear it a lot. I
it's just like,
guarantee you.
what? 3 quarters in, you want to switch strategies already? Whatever.
Oh
So I
man.
mean, we're gonna miss that. We're gonna miss that. Those are good times. Like the comedic relief factor is gonna drop quite a bit. But
Well, you never know, right? There could be something
I
else.
can't. I cannot imagine. Even if they're as incompetent, there's no way they're gonna do that. That was just that got. Why do you even have that many plans?
Well, now we don't have to worry. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Hopefully, yeah.
I do have an interesting prediction that I'm going to give later on in the show. I know we're going to do some predictions already. We're going to start the new season with a bang with some predictions. But I've got an interesting prediction that I'm going to make later on in the show. So make sure whoever's watching now, you stick around for that. Because I don't, it's going to be a hot take Jazz coming at you strong this year. So strategy was a nightmare. Yep. I'm binge watching the whole season on Friday night with my wife. Well, Vish is going to be in town. We might be watching some baseball. I don't know what's going to happen yet Friday night, but we might be watching some Canes baseball. But that doesn't mean that after that I can't just sit until 4 o'clock in the morning and watch the whole thing. So, who knows? Moving along. Let's talk about this first before we get into some of the other stuff. Right? I mentioned earlier new drivers. There's some new drivers on some new teams. There's some old drivers on some new teams, and so there's a lot of shakeup. There's a lot of shakeup on a lot of these teams this year. I definitely want to start off with some of the more popular names. Well, I don't want to say popular names, but some of the bigger names that we heard earlier on in the season. Forget about the older guys like the Fernando Alonso's and all that. We kept hearing the biggest name for a while was Oscar Piastri, right? Where's Oscar going to go? Is he going to go to McLaren? Is he going to go to AlphaTauri? Is he doing Willie? Where is he going to end up? Considering he's probably one of the top young drivers out there in the circuit. He finally got a hold and grabbed onto to one of the teams, and we know it's McLaren now. But there's some other guys too that I think are going to be interesting to watch. I know we were excited about some of the other ones. Who are some of the drivers, Vish, that you are most excited for? And I'll kind of name some right now. Nick DeVries over at AlphaTauri. Pierre Gasly moves over from AlphaTauri to Alpine. Fernando Alonso from Alpine to Aston Martin. Nico Hülkenberg is back on the circuit with Haas, taking over for Mr. Schumacher. And Oscar Piastri, as we mentioned earlier, is with McLaren, taking over for probably the most exciting driver on the circuit, you would say, just from a personality standpoint, Mr. Danny Ricciardo. And Logan Sargent, USA, baby, all the way, an American, makes the circuit again once, and he will be driving for Williams. Who's the guy that you're most excited to watch this season? Excuse me.
Yeah, there's a few of those I'm looking forward to for different reasons. Logan Sargent, not just American, South Florida native.
That's
Logan
right.
Sargent.
That's right.
So we got our boy in there. So you gotta root for him to go slightly faster than Albon and finish 19th or whatever. Williams is gonna no, but I do think
I got
Jazz, that little chest, whatever, I think might have knocked your mic out. Either that or my headset went out, but it's usually you.
What about now? I'm back.
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little excited there, probably.
Got a little excited about man, South Florida race car driver.
I don't know. I got a prediction for you guys later. That's all I'm going to say.
But I think it is actually. We'll see. Hopefully, he's good because Latifi had amazing staying power, and so there's not been a good. Whoever was in the other seat always looked good.
Yeah.
Right. Because remember, Albon was at I guess at the time it was not AlphaTauri, but AlphaTauri, and then I forget. Oh, there Toro Rosso.
Right? Toro Rosso, yeah.
Brain fart. Toro Rosso went to Red Bull, failed catastrophically there, bounced back, ends up at Williams. Looks good last year compared to our boy Latifi there. So, it'll be interesting to see how good he actually is, and then how good Sargent is, because there might actually be competent drivers there. Right. And then, Fernando Alonso is going to be hilarious. That car sucks, and he loves to complain. Yeah. His teammate is the owner's son. Like, this is just. This has to be entertaining. There's no way that this is not going to be entertaining.
That's a setup for disaster there, if you ask
me. That is, and I will love to watch that implode on itself. You have one unqualified driver, one over the hill driver likes to complain all the time, and a bad car. Like, this is just gold. But I think the one that might make the most impact is probably Piastri.
That's what I'm excited to watch. Yeah. Not just because he is a good driver, but because there's been so much hype behind him, right? And surrounding his whole entire deal. Like, where's he going to go? Anywhere he goes, he's going to be great. Oh, can you imagine him? Can you imagine him in Red Bull? He would. A lot of people like to talk trash about it. I think it's going to be interesting to watch what McLaren does this year. Period. They've got two good drivers, right? Of course, and Lando, and now you bring in Oscar Piastri, but it's gonna be hard because now you're talking about two young drivers. I know Lance. I don't know how old. I'm sorry, not Lance. Lando is at this point, but I guess he's not that young anymore, right? He's like 27, 28.
No.
Who's the one I'm thinking about? That he is okay. So he is a little bit younger then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're both young. They're both young, and so I think they're both going to be hungry.
I will get you an age.
I think you need to confirm that age.
23.
20. Wow. Okay, so he's younger than I thought he was, which is stupid of me. How can I think that guy looks like he's 12? But anyways, two young drivers, hungry drivers. They're going to be competitive with each other. So I want to see how that dynamic kind of works itself out.
I think
actually Piastri is actually older than Lando, isn't he?
He might be. I'm googling again.
Just throwing out.
The one he is. No, he's 21. So Lando's the oldie. The one who's like randomly really old. I think it was Nick DeVries is like 30 or something.
That's right. It was DeVries. I knew it was one of them. I was like, okay, so young guys, right?
Yeah, no, DeVries is 28. He's the one you're thinking of, and that was the joke because no one kind of knew who he was. He did a temporary like drive in the Williams because forget what happened. Oh, Albon had that whatever.
Right. He scored some points. Right?
Yeah, he scored points. He roasted Latifi again. And then gets in this drive. It's like, oh, there's another young Dutch driver. It's like, dude, he's like 10 years older than Max. Like, that's not another young driver. That is an old Dutch driver.
Fernie is pointing something out to me here really quick, right? Lando 23, Oscar 21, Logan Sargent is 22. There's a couple other guys that are pretty young on the
circuit
as well.
It's that whole
is this like a movement now where you're going to start seeing a lot more? Like, are we doing like this, quote unquote, changing of the guard per se, where a lot of these older guys are kind of moving out? You're going to get these young drivers, and it's going to kind of change things a little bit.
I think that the thing is there's no middle, right? So you got Hamilton, and then none of these guys in like their late 20s, early 30s are really. Then like Leclerc, Max is only 25,
right? How old is Sainz is like 30 now, right?
Yeah, he's probably the most talented, but he's not like I don't think anyone thinks he's going to win a world championship. Leclerc's in his early 20s, George Russell's in his early 20s. So you have this whole group of like 20 to 25 of like really talented drivers. Then a pretty big gap because Hamilton's just been winning everything for. Right. So none of those guys, like the Daniel Ricciardo aged people, just aged out of the sport while Hamilton kept winning. Hamilton just kept winning. He took all their championships, and they all kind of went away because they couldn't win.
That's crazy.
So yeah, Fernie's putting all the younger drivers in the chat. I will say it is a little bit more difficult with the way they do the super license points for younger drivers to break in now than it used to be. But still, yeah, because when Max got in without basically having to do anything. That's why he started so young.
He started real young, right? He was like 18 when he got in.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, for me, yeah, like I said, Oscar Piastri, I think is going to be fun to watch.
And Sainz is 28.
There you go.
So he's the same age as De Vries.
Except he's been racing for like
yeah. I mean, that's why De Vries is just old. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I think the other kind of interesting that just the new driver where it ties in as well is just that I think we know the top 3 teams are going to be in some order, and then last year Alpine got in front of McLaren after McLaren have been better. They're both raking in a new driver, and with Gasly and Ocon, that on paper should be a strong driver
on
pair.
Paper, right?
They hate each other.
But they hate each other. Exactly.
so is that going to implode? Like that's going to be interesting to see to see how that plays out, where they can kind of maximize that car, because McLaren's going to want to get 4th place back. So
it's
and of course Alpine is the team that McLaren stole Piastri from because they didn't have their contracts in order. Right. Or what? I mean, that's 100% a blunder by Alpine because it went to court and they're like, no, you don't have a contract with this guy.
Yeah. So technically, it could be a completely different lineup for McLaren too. If it wanted, you could see Gasly in a McLaren instead, which
I don't know what would have actually. I think if it and just Razor, we're going to end with
Razor.
There is going to be productions, and that we'll be making fun of us for the rest of the year off of those. So.
Absolutely, especially mine. But
Moni's strategically covering an award show. We're gonna make her commit, and we'll read them out next week.
Oh man. Okay. So speaking of changes with the teams, let's talk a little bit about some of these moves that these team principal moves. Some are funny, as we mentioned earlier with Frederick Vasseur going to Ferrari, replacing Mattia Binotto. Which, look, I feel like it is going to help. You know what? What the hell? Let's just start off right there, right? Yeah. So this was a move that I don't know if we saw Vasseur coming in, but we saw a change happening after the season, right? I mean, it just wasn't working with Binotto.
Yeah, it had to happen, and it had to not be an internal promotion or hire this time. They had to go outside. They got an experienced team principal. Now, they didn't get one that is experienced at, the front of the grid.
Right.
So it'll be an interesting adjustment there. But I think
Alfa Romeo, right? Alfa Romeo.
Yeah. Yep. Which is now going to be Audi Sauber or whatever. Sauber. Is that what's the official? I should have this open.
I think it's Audi Sauber.
Anyway, I'll pull those up in a second. We'll get the names right. Get all the name changes, but same team. So I do think this, it's fun. We're obviously we spent a good bit of last year making fun of Ferrari and their strategy blunders and all that, but the fact that they would go for kind of a low profile but just professional guy like that shows how bad it actually was. They're like,
is this like a Mario Cristobal move?
No, this is Mario Cristobal is the hype. This is the Mark Richt move. I need someone that knows what he's doing, that's stable. This thing is a dumpster fire. At least okay, you know how to run practice correctly because Al Golden didn't. That's okay, we got to get this is a foundation. Just we got to professionalize this. Because the flashy hire is Cristobal, right? Let's go get the big guy.
Well, not this year, right? Not this year.
Well, when he was hired,
is this the 2023 Mario Cristobal? I mean, that's what I meant.
Well, we didn't hire him this year, and frankly, we want a refund. But no, I'm just kidding.
It's going that way.
No, it'll be fine. Actually, I'm optimistic about the future of that program. But anyway, no, but I think they just went for it. Let's get someone professional that we know. This guy runs a proper F1 program. We'll pick the right tires coming into the weekend. We kind of forget they have to do that ahead of time, right? What their allocations are. He'll have all that set up, almost professionalize what they're doing. And so that's why he's not the high profile sexy hire. He's not the guy that they feature on Drive to Survive. Right. He's barely even there, right? But he's the guy who's going to just, be solid in there. And I think that's what they needed.
I feel like this is the type of move. And again, I know I'm I'm kind of giving examples like football examples, but I feel like this is the kind of move that says, this guy did he was able to do a good job with lesser talent, with lesser equipment, with lesser, training facilities somewhere. Now he comes to an operation where, he's gonna have a lot more, sitting in front of him that he can work with, quote unquote. This might be an opportunity for him to kind of shine and say, okay, well, now look at what I got to work with here. I'm not going to screw this up like the previous regime did. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to, I've got some of the most talented drivers. I've got potentially one of the fastest cars on the grid again. Uh, now I can work with this. Now we can win. Now I can really compete. So that's what it feels like to me. Like a guy that came in, like you said, professional. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not disorganized. It's not chaotic in his head, or just him as a person. He's going to come in to a team that needs that, but also a team that has a lot of the other components to be successful, to win, and to compete for that drivers' championship from the constructors as well. I think that it's a good marriage with him and with Ferrari and Vasseur, and I think that once they get kind of the kinks out at the beginning, I think they'll do good. They'll do well. And Fernie, we have seen some of the new helmets. We'll talk a little bit about that.
We was not on the running order, but Fernie asked twice, so I did pull them up so we can insert into the we can scroll through and do a discussion on which helmets we think are good.
We will get to that. Let's speaking of Alfa Romeo, Andreas Seidel. Did I say Seidel, right? Seidel?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving from McLaren to Alfa Romeo. He's technically the CEO. How do you feel about this move? A guy from McLaren moving over to Alfa.
Well, I think it was the upgrade to CEO that probably did a lot of it. They don't actually have a team principal right now announced, so he might be double dipping for a while. But it's also an opportunity to. We mentioned earlier Audi Sauber. This is all this money coming in there, so he had worked there before too. So I think it made sense from his perspective. McLaren just in-house promoted, so
right, which is James Vowles, right? Voles.
No, James Vowles.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's Williams.
Yeah.
McLaren
else. McLaren just grabbed some chief engineer and just promoted him. So
okay,
there's been a big. I don't know how many people were F1 fans like 15 years ago when Ron Dennis was like, he's one of the original like team bosses, and he ran McLaren for decades, and it was. On Iron Fist, he ran everything, and then there were some issues. He left, and then there's a new regime, and it was chaotic for a while. And I think it's just as a program they value stability, so they're just. I'm a little annoyed as a McLaren fan because when I started watching Formula One, they were at the front of the grid, and there seems to be zero aspiration to get back there. They just want to finish middle of the pack. It seems like it. To me, this is just a continuation of that. Like, hey, this is solid. We'll keep it.
Well, hey, that could change soon again. We'll talk about that a little bit later because I know, it's some recent news that McLaren came out with and another engine manufacturer that has been winning world titles recently. So,
yeah. We'll talk about kind of the 2026 engines and which ones qualified for it.
Right.
But yeah, to me, it's a what I would call a latter day McLaren move. Don't rock the boat. Just when we'll talk a little bit about this more at the engine manufacturer and how actually the way they're with Mercedes engines is a part of that approach. Right. And it's Formula One slow and steady doesn't win the race, but maybe you'll come fifth.
Right.
which is like kind of what
which boggles my mind.
Which is kind of what they're doing. I mean, they're just trying to be the fourth best constructor right now, and so that's why it makes sense to bump someone up inside. But
it boggles my mind that that's how some of these teams operate. But hey, it is what I mean. They'll all tell you that they want to compete for a championship, but the truth is, they're fighting for a fourth spot. And I guess lastly, not to be mistaken with Lashley, former Mercedes lead strategist James Vowles is moving over to Williams now. How do you like this move? So not only how will it affect Williams, but how will it affect Mercedes as well?
Yeah, I think that's the bigger question because no amount of strategy is going to fix Williams. So it is really, um, you know, how does Mercedes cope with? I mean, he's the not only laid out their strategy, he was often the person you hear on the radio. Um,
So he was Gabe Elias. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to Gabe. What's going on, man?
so I mean,
He'll be on
he
the
was
show soon. He'll be
yeah
on the show this season a lot, guaranteed.
yeah. It was but well, I was gonna say James Vowles, but also Gabe was a key component to all of their winning. And is now both of them left. They can't win anymore. Coincidence? Probably not. But that's that's the question. Like, and I think one of the things that obviously last year they didn't win, but before that, barring mid race rule changes, they basically won what 8 in a row. Just and a lot of that he was one of the steady people there kind of directing. He was the one calming them down on the radio, kind of, it's not only that setting the correct strategy and all that. So that question mark on how much of an impact this is going to be. But I think really it's like, what's the impact on Mercedes? I don't really think he's going to be much for Williams at this point. I don't know what Williams's long-term plan is to be not the worst team on the grid, to be honest, but it's a good get for them to get someone like that.
Yeah.
And for him, it's a big step up from being the strategist.
I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts them.
No, definitely won't hurt. I mean, how are you going to hurt them? You're going to finish more last.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey! Wait until you see. Anyway.
Okay. All right. I feel like you're going to like put on.
Stop
without knowing. I just feel like you're about to pull out an American flag, and then is that where we're headed?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I have any American flags around.
I mean, you have a hurricane-shaped one behind you.
Yeah, that's the one.
Close enough.
I'm looking around the room like, do I have an American flag? I should have one, I guess, right? But no. I do have my Ferrari flag still.
Yeah, you got your Ferrari one, and then you have an American Canes flag, sort of. So
yeah,
close enough.
Sort of. Yeah. So let's talk about it, right? So I guess we can kind of we hinted at it a little bit with McLaren, what they're going to do later on, and it looks like Honda's trying to get back in before we bring up the other ones, because the other ones are more.
Well, do you want to do a quick helmet talk for?
Yeah, you know what the hell? Let's do.
All right, hold on here. I got these things open, so we can.
We got to do some livery talk too, right? A little bit.
I can look those up too. All right, so this is just a post I found, so we're just gonna scroll through. Apparently, these are all the new helmets. So
here you go, Fern.
There's Lando's. That's Coolito. That is terrible, dude. And he's gonna drive an orange car with that. That is anyway. Let's just move on. That's not the winner. That's Piastri. He just went full Australian, huh?
Yeah, orange car with red and. Okay.
I don't like either. Hamilton, his classic. He's always got the yellow.
Yeah, I don't think he's changed much. Okay.
George Russell.
George Russell. It's actually kind of cool, but.
His
but I don't like him, so
I will say in terms of all of them we looked at so far, his will blend nicely with the car.
Right.
He's gonna look good in the car like that.
It's 50% of it, right?
Max.
Let's see this, guys.
I can't really. I guess I'll have to play.
It's like red and white. It's like that. There you go.
Oh God. I'm trying to get that. There it is. Yeah, it looks almost like an older helmet, like that they used to use. I'm trying to get. There we go. Let me just wait for it. Yeah. White. I like the white. He always wears. Yeah, that looks pretty. Man,
it's kind of like the Japanese. Remember that Japanese livery that they used a couple years ago for?
Yeah, for the Honda stuff. Yeah,
the Honda stuff. It kind of looks like that a little bit.
You know what? I can't give him another award. I can't do it. But so far, I think he's the one I like the best. There's Checo's.
All right, Checo's. I mean, it looks cool. I guess
it's all right. I don't know if I like the fluorescent. It's just there for no reason. He didn't commit to the bit.
No, he didn't. Oh, look at that beauty.
Oh, boy.
Look at that beauty.
Really?
That's all right. Whatever. It's all red.
It's just red. I mean,
it looks like my hat,
Yeah.
And by the way, which Ferrari went back to their Ferrari red this year for their livery. They kind of changed the color up a little bit again, and they went back to their livery.
So Fernie thinks Russell and Leclerc are boring.
Yeah, you shut up, Freddie, okay? Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's okay. There's nothing to write home about, but it's cool, I guess.
Let's see what
Let's see,
signs we got.
Carlito.
Okay, all right.
That is kind of
That might be
slick.
it. It's got the Spanish flag with the black accent. That is,
Yeah, that's kind of slick.
That
I
is,
gotta give it to Carlito.
is.
You know, he's my man.
It's also, it's a mullet. It's business in the front. Look at that one at the top right. You cannot tell that there's a Spanish flag in the back of it.
I know.
It's business in the front, party in the back.
It looks kind of mean in the front.
Yeah,
looks good. I like it. All right, Carlito, you're winning so far. I'm biased.
I like the dual helmet there. Like for the front, it looks like just black and red, and then you get in the back there.
It's nice. Like a tuxedo shirt, you know?
Ooh, that looks. I think I might have a new winner.
Damn,
Esteban.
Damn it. That shit looks nice.
That is awesome.
That does look slick.
All right, that's gonna be tough to beat.
That's a mean looking helmet. I gotta admit.
God damn, I need that like in hat form. So you can't walk around with a helmet, idiot.
No, I mean you could. But
you could.
Right. Okay, all right. That's the bottom. I'm giving it to you.
So afraid of the Rona. I'm wearing a helmet.
I don't know if I don't like this.
No. I'm sorry.
Too close to colors we hate.
Yeah, so that is very. I mean, look, let's just say that's FSU color. That is the last
that's FSU.
Place.
Like if it wasn't FSU, I'd be like, okay, not bad, pretty cool, but no, you lost.
No, that's the worst one we've seen. That color scheme is atrocious.
Yeah, you kind of
you
dropped the ball there, my friend.
Doing that. Yep, no, that's no good.
Nope, that's
Albon.
Ugly. All right, it's kind of cool. It kind of looks. It fits with his look. Right, he's got that crazy hair. This is like a purple and blue with the.
He's still doing the hair thing, dude.
Look, he's blonde in that photo. No. All right, it's cool. It's not bad. Right, I've seen worse. Scroll up one.
Yeah, I mean it's not. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I think it's going to be really hard to beat Ocon's.
Yeah, Ocon's is pretty tight.
Oh, look at our American boy here.
Ooh, Captain America looking ass. Look at that. Yep. Oh man, that's a nice hat. That's a nice helmet.
And 2 is a strong number too.
That's a strong.
He came in strong. I mean, how jingoistic do we want to be? Because I still feel like Ocon's is tight.
This with the American flag.
This is cool as shit. This is cool.
Number 2. This is cool.
This is really cool. But Ocon's is oh god.
All right, we're doing a top 3 so far, right? All right. Whatever. Yeah. That's my bank. Shout out to Citibank. That's my bank.
They got my money.
They got my money, so you know.
That does look a little bit like Norris's and Hamilton's, actually.
Yeah,
not
a huge
stripe. Yeah,
not a huge stripe.
Oh boy, Lance Stroll.
He doesn't even have a helmet.
Slightly modified version of 2022 doesn't help.
They're like, screw it, no.
Botas.
What do you got, Mustachio?
Oh man, we gotta play.
We gotta play to see his damn helmet.
Season 2023, and obviously.
Where's the helmet?
Yeah, just
come on, man.
Show the damn helmet already.
All right, there it is.
There we go.
All right, what do you think?
All right, it's kind of cool, but
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's cool.
Yeah. And then
okay, it's very Chinese of him.
Yeah, it's got some Chinese.
Yeah.
To it.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool. I get it. The skyline and the.
I like the purple.
Yeah,
the yellow is a good contrast.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Pretty good.
Cool. Let's see what K-Mag's got. Let's see.
Oh, what is this?
There's still some. Oh, there's still.
Oh, we don't have anything. We don't have anything.
Haas ran out of money.
Nico brought his own helmet.
He only got Nico's helmet.
That's why he got the drive.
Right. All right, Nico. Whatever. Your helmet's whatever.
Apparently, that's not a proper.
It's black and red and white. Whatever. Right. Nice. Woohoo. What a Yuki do?
Ooh,
is that? What's up with the leaves though? That's very Canadian though, right?
Fall themed.
Yeah. What's going on? I mean, it's kind of cool though.
It is. That's cool. I like that.
That's cool. It's cool. I like the fresh look by Yuki.
And
let's
Nick
see what the
DeVries.
40-year-old Nick DeVries.
Not bad.
Okay. All right. I'd like to see what the top
might be it. Yeah, it's not a great view of the top on that.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. There's an arrow. Ooh, that made it worse. That made it worse.
Go back.
Oh man,
don't tell me that's like the other side.
That's the other side. That is the other side. Because you can actually see the little like hearts here, and then he featured them on the other side.
Let me see. Oh,
see these things that look like frankly, Kulos, right? They don't look like
What is
hearts.
that?
I think those are supposed to be hearts.
First of all, it looks like a helmet straight out of like 1982.
It doesn't look like a heart. It looks like something else, man. But no, you can actually see these are kind of low key on the
on the other side.
On the other side. So that is definitely two sides of the helmet.
Okay, so we got Ocon.
I mean,
Carlos,
Ocon wins.
Yeah,
right?
Ocon, Carlos Sainz, and Logan Sargent, right? Are those the top three helmets?
Yeah, I think so. I like Yuki's too.
Yuki's is
but
cool
yeah,
too.
Yeah, but I would go. Yeah, I think Ocon hands down.
Let's see Ocon's one more time.
This is
That's
oh,
pretty
man,
sick.
Carlos is nice too.
Yeah.
Wait, did I scroll past it?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, there it is. That's
pretty cool. It's pretty. Can you click on one of the photos and see?
Yeah, I think it all. Whoa! There was which Twitter is this? This might be the Canes Twitter. I don't know what. I have 3 different browsers with different accounts logged in.
That is slick.
This is so good. This is definitely the one.
Yeah, that is pretty tight. I gotta admit, that's a cool ass helmet. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Ocon,
and there was no secret garbage on the other side either. It was straight all the way through.
Very cool.
And then worst one is definitely this. This is unacceptable.
Don't even. Yeah,
this is unacceptable.
Can't even look at that anymore. Hideousness. Jesus.
All right, Fernie, are you happy with the helmet talk?
Yeah, it looked like a Care Bear helmet. He says, Nick DeVries. Yes, it does.
All right, now, you know what? Now I gotta scroll back.
It does look like a Care Bear helmet. That's so funny. There it is. There's your Care Bear helmet. They might call him the Care Bear now. Oh gosh,
I mean, so bad.
That's
so bad.
That is brutal, man.
And the other side looks okay, and you don't really notice the little ass logos here. And then you flip it around, and it's just...
Oh, man, they screwed it up. All right.
I think that's enough helmet talk.
Alpine. Audi Sauber coming in 2026. Honda Racing. What the hell are they going to do? And Mercedes, AMG, and then Red Bull. Of course, Ford is coming back in 2026. It looks like Honda is trying to get back in with McLaren as well. So... if you ask me, that's a good move for McLaren. But
that is the question, right? Who are they getting in with?
Yeah, that's the latest, all right. This latest news is that Honda might be looking to.
They did so. What this list is, and just to be clear, these are the people that are allowed to make engines when the new regulations come in 2026. Alpine, which is Renault,
right?
Audi, who's partnered with Sauber, Ferrari, of course. Honda qualified for the engine, so you have to put all this paperwork in and basically do all that. They did that,
right?
Mercedes,
now just figuring out who to be with, right?
Basically. Yeah, Mercedes, which is kind of obvious they'd be there, and then Ford, kind of was a surprise that they decided to come back into the sport, and they did so partnering with Red Bull.
By the way, did Cadillac?
No, we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
No, we'll get to that in a minute. When we talk about Andretti's plan.
Yeah.
So they are staying in. They're in, but they don't have a team to partner with because again, Red Bull, which means AlphaTauri as well, are going to be on Ford engines.
It's hard for me not to picture a team wanting to partner with Honda based off of their
but then if you start going through the grid, right, it's Mercedes, Ferrari, Alpine.
Right.
And Red Bull and Sauber, 5 of them are already spoken for. Mm-hmm. Is this Honda? Did Honda come back in the sport to put their engine in a Williams? No.
Yeah, McLaren seems like
I missed AlphaTauri also. That's 6 of the teams.
Right.
Are spoken for. So you got Williams, you got Aston Martin, you got McLaren, and
Alfa
Haas. You got Haas.
Haas
because Alfa Romeo is as Audi.
You're right.
So
Haas has a Ferrari engine in it right now.
Yeah, right? 3 of those teams have Mercedes engines.
Right.
And then the other one has a Ferrari engine. The only one that would make any sense for Honda to stay in the sport with is McLaren.
Absolutely. I agree.
Now, the last time they tried to work with McLaren 3 times. The first time, Ayrton Senna was there, won a bunch of championships, was the most dominant team on the grid. The second time, it didn't go well. Ended in early termination of the partnership, and McLaren switching to Renault engines, and then now back to Mercedes. But yeah, that is, I guess. I mean, that's kind of the only option. But I mean, it's not announced yet, and so we'll see how that plays out. But they're the wild card in the because that is you can only go so far using someone else's engines.
Listen, if they do that, if McLaren partners with Honda, I mean, that's going to be exciting times for McLaren. If you ask, if it all goes right, like if it doesn't just crap the bed, but I think that could be exciting for McLaren.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things happening, right? There is definitely that is. I was talking about this earlier. They have that decision to drop Mercedes engines and go to Honda the first time, set them on a tailspin from which they have not recovered. And the lesson they took away from that is no risks. They went to the Renault engine and now back to the Mercedes one. We mentioned like they're being very conservative with their team boss choices. Everything is kind of like don't rock the boat. And this would be very much okay, we're going to try and win again move. Because they have not been, like I said, they have not been trying to win in a decade. And
well, if they want to win, they're gonna have to do
and that was
a little bit.
And that was the thinking when they went to Honda engines, because Honda had left the sport. They came back in with McLaren. The thinking was now that Mercedes, because actually when McLaren was winning championships in the early 2000s, they were McLaren Mercedes. And Mercedes did not have a team. They actually owned 48% of McLaren. That was so they were Mercedes.
Right.
Mercedes forms their own team, and their thinking was, we cannot beat the factory team. We need our own engine where we're the top team using that engine. And they went with Honda, and it was a disaster. And then to undo that, they've been picking up scraps. First, they were using Renault's engines. Now they're using Mercedes' engines again. So it would be a shift. There's actually before Drive to Survive, there was actually an Amazon documentary called Grand Prix Driver. It's probably at this point like 6 years old, but at the time, Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn, for a throwback name, were the McLaren drivers. But it was the last year. It was actually the first year Zach Brown was there, and he was like their marketing director. He wasn't the team boss. He wasn't like the CEO at the time. And you could just see how effed up their Honda relationship was, because they show them like building the car, which you rarely actually see. It's much more embedded than anything on Drive to Survive. Like they show them at the factory. The engineers from Japan come in with the Honda engines because they built the engines in Japan and they built the rest of the car here, and of course it doesn't fit in the car.
Right.
So they have to like start bending parts to try and get it to fit. It was just like, it was that broken.
Wow.
They missed, like they're trying to do like a test day to videotape stuff. Like the car wasn't ready. It was just like, it was that bad. So that at that point, again, this is several years ago, but it looked like the relationship was completely broken.
Right.
Didn't help that Fernando Alonso is who he is. So he was not quite about what he thought of that Honda engine. So now you kind of look several years forward. Obviously, Honda's won championships since then, so maybe McLaren will show a little bit more humility this time. But yeah, I think that's the play. But either way, come 2026, you have 6 engine manufacturers. That's a good thing.
Speaking of that, are you excited for Ford coming in?
Yes, I am. I'm not excited for the team they're partnering with, so it's kind of like,
I know.
And I do think it's interesting. It's a big risk for Red Bull.
It really is. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, you want to move away from Honda?
Well, they kind of already did.
Yeah, they did. It's just a powertrain or whatever, Red Bull powertrain or whatever.
Yeah, but
it's still Honda engines,
Right, but in 2026, it's going to be a brand new company that hasn't been in the sport for a long time building their engines.
Yeah, it's a risky move.
Yeah,
it's a rock in the boat type of move, right? So I just think that them doing that, yeah, it's nice for the sport. It's cool because of the whole Ford versus Ferrari thing, where they could kind of bring that back, and make it's marketing and advertising purposes. I think it's a crazy move. it makes all the dollars and cents, right? So, but as far as performance wise, we'll see, right? Still, like you said, Ford hasn't been around for a little bit, and at that point, it could be, it could be Ferrari's game, it could be Mercedes' game at that point once they have to do that because like a lot of people say, maybe they have to make a lot of tweaks to that Ford engine to get it to where it needs to be, and by that point you might be behind McLaren running with their Hondas and kicking everybody's ass too. So it's going to be fun to watch, because if Ford can get it right, then that it will be exciting to watch for sure. It's only going to bring in money at this point. I don't know if, when you're going to go over to Red Bull. Again, it's a tricky move if you're going to leave your World Championship engine just to bring in money with Ford.
Okay, so Fernie, at this point, this is a 2026. They are one of the engine suppliers. Ford is in 2026, so they'll have to. Right now you're not allowed to. They lock these rules, and the only people that can build an engine now are Mercedes, Ferrari, Alpine, and whatever that Red Bull powertrain badge actual Honda is. You're not allowed, like no one else can actually build it.
Nobody until 2026.
Yeah. So but in 2026 there's 6.
Right.
So it is technically a Red Bull Ford. So I'm sure they'll be able to steal a lot of the intellectual capital. But and Ford is actually the most successful engine in Formula One history. So there's a throwback. They haven't been in the sport for a while, but a lot of it's under the Cosworth branding too, their motorsport brand. But they have priors.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll be. Just wait 4 years. We'll see what happens.
That's all you got. That's all you got to do is wait.
Wait 4 years. Yeah.
So here's an interesting one that we kind of talked about a little earlier today, right? Was Andretti Racing and the Cadillac partnership. Also, correct me if I'm wrong here, but so Renault is going to supply the engines for Cadillac?
Yeah, the Cadillac's Cadillac's a branding thing. Again, they're not on the 2026
It's list. Like McLaren with a Honda or McLaren with a Mercedes, basically.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, but also just like we just said, Cadillac, if you know, was not on the list. They're not allowed to build engines.
Right.
So it is.
That's if it does happen in 2026, right?
Yeah. So
which plays into the whole thing: is he being treated fairly?
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of, frankly. Yeah, So here's the thing: they can easily make the entry fee. They have a major engine manufacturer behind them, and they're getting a lot of pushback. There's a lot of the team bosses want to change the rules to make it harder to get in. They definitely meet the requirements. It does feel a little bit of, frankly, anti-Americanism.
Right.
And also, this is actually before I even watched F1, but Michael Andretti did try to drive an F1 at one point. It was a complete disaster. He didn't last the season.
No, right. I know.
I don't know that is that's playing into it here, but it does feel a lot of like these guys don't belong.
But he's not driving it, and he's
I think
a little bit of that, pizzazz.
I think it does feel like there's a little bit of these guys don't belong in our sport, so we're just not going to let them in type of thing.
Yeah, because
one of the
if he does
well, but also exactly.
Yeah.
But some of what you're seeing is this. Now there is some legitimate concern there because it is basically F1 has become like a franchise system now. They all divide the money up. So if you have someone else at the table, that's you're slicing your slices are smaller unless you can grow the pie big enough where the slice is actually bigger. So that's a legitimate concern, but the reason it does feel a little bit like at this point that they're never going to let him in regardless of what happens is we've kind of seen this moving of goalposts. First, they're like, you coming in as an independent. Yeah. Do you really have the money? Right? Do you really have the money to do this? He's like, all right, I'm coming with Cadillac. Yeah. General Motors has some money, a little bit of money behind them. I think they're fine. And then all of a sudden, it's like, we need to raise the entry fee. We need to do this. We need to do that.
All right, we got that.
That doesn't mean we can necessarily raise. It's just like, come on, man. He came in because everyone was saying like he's not going to get backing for anyone. It's just a guy with some like he'll. What they don't want to do is go back to how F1 used to be, which is there would be teams just show up and disappear after a season.
Right.
It's been stable for 4 or 5 years now, so. I get that, but the fact that they, if he's coming in with GM, that's a serious play there. It's
not like he's coming in with Daewoo or anything like that. Like he's coming in with Cadillac and GM, and Okay, so this is my question because now Renault is it potentially will supply the engines. Aren't they already kind of aren't they already going to with isn't Sauber, Audi, all that? Isn't that Renault also?
No, Alpine is Renault.
Alpine, my bad. I'm sorry. Okay, Alpine. So that's my question to you, right? Like they're doing those engines now. Does that mean
It's the same engine. It's the same thing as how like McLaren's using Mercedes engines.
right? So how successful are they?
I mean, initially it's going to be Williams is so bad, maybe they'll beat Williams, but it's going to be at the back of the grid. That's what happens when you start a team.
Yeah.
You start at the back, you work your way through. So I think they're trying to get into the sport, and to prove worthiness, I think they're just saying we're going to check all the boxes. So who are you gonna like? Where's your money coming from? Do you have backing? We got General Motors. Right. Which engine supplier? It's got to be one of those 6 we talked about. Alpine's on board. We got engines. Like I think they're just trying to check all the boxes and build an airtight case there that can't be denied. So that's why they've already, they said, yeah, if we come in, Renault will work with us.
Do you think that this whole anti-Americanism, or not wanting to get the USA too much more involved based off of, that now they've got a race in Vegas and Texas and Miami, and this whole anti-Americanism has to do a lot with the people that are in power in F1 because recently didn't one of the gosh, I can't for the life of me remember his name. One of the guys, one of the people heading up Formula One. I think he was a Middle Eastern cat.
Yeah, I forget.
He just resigned. Yeah, he just resigned, right? Yeah. So I don't know if it's because of the people that are in power at the top that are kind of pushing this agenda, this stigmatism of not having Andretti and the Americans in.
It's hard to say. I think it's coming from the teams though, because they're ultimately the F1 model has changed now. There's not like a boss of F1. It is
right.
So they need to get enough of I forget what the number is, but a certain number of teams have to vote to accept them as well. Gotcha. And they are getting backing. McLaren is on board. Renault will be now because they'll sell them engines. So they're kind of trying to build.
I'm sure Haas will be in it, being that they're an American
I
team.
don't know that Haas would necessarily want to share that American. I mean, we had this conversation last night.
Whatever, Haas sucks also. So
this is the thing, right? We had this conversation last year, and I still think we have a good answer. Is like, what is the point of Haas?
Yeah.
Andretti's coming in with big money backers. He's trying to actually again, when you start, you're going to be near the back,
right?
But I think he's thinking, long term, we can compete at the top of this. That's why he's coming in with Cadillac. So I think it's a different play than Haas, but that's literally all Haas has going for it. It's like we're the American team.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know that, but yeah, they got to get the teams to buy in to vote for them. And
give me a Chevy engine. Come on, Haas.
I think the Chevy engine, or they'll badge it Cadillac. I think it's coming probably
GM.
Yeah, it's GM. It's GM. Yeah, but I think that engine would be the next iteration if they get in. I think they'll use Alpine, Renault, whatever you want to call it, engines for the next cycle, and then when the new regulations come out for whenever
the American engines,
they'll put in to build their own engine.
Yeah, they'll do like Chevy or Dodge or whatever.
Well, Dodge is Chrysler, so I don't think they'll do that.
That's true.
Yeah. No, it'll be built out of Detroit and be called a Cadillac, is what the badge will be on it. But
gotcha. That's cool. I'm cool with that too.
That is, yeah. Gene Haas is bleeding money, especially since he had that Russian oligarch money coming in and he lost.
He lost it. Rightfully so, but still.
Yeah. But so I think that's the long-term play for Andretti. Get into the sport with the Renault engines, and then next cycle have GM manufacture the engines.
Yeah. We shall see. Last but not least, we got 5 minutes left. Perfect. Some early predictions here for 2023.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get those in 5 minutes.
Yeah. This is okay. So this is my hot take. All right, you ready?
All right, let's hear it. You've been teasing it the whole show, man. Let's go.
I think that Williams will not be at the back of the grid in last place this year. I can see them finishing somewhere in 7th or 8th. That's my hot take.
7 or 8, so not even 10th.
No,
not 9th.
No, 7 or 8. Hot take right here.
All right.
Williams.
Let's play this backwards then. So
Oh,
if they're eighth, if they're
I
eighth,
mean, this is. I didn't want to do that though.
who
Fish.
is finishing behind them?
Haas? Okay.
Okay, I could see that.
Aston Martin. So that's
I don't know about that.
10 and 9 right there. 10 and 9. So hey, they could potentially finish 8th. That's it.
Who is so? I guess the other two.
Alfa Romeo, maybe.
Alfa Romeo. That's tough.
I mean, they've got a great driver. So
all right. I'll go on a limb and say they're going to finish last again.
Okay. Well, yeah, sure. That's out on a limb.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it,
Yeah, I know. I got you.
Yeah.
Spicing it up a little bit.
Spicing it up a little bit. Let's see. But okay, so what people really want to hear, right, is 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Red Bull again, finishing at the top?
So it should be on paper, given that like all the rule changes they were going to bring in, they ended up not delaying and or significantly muting. So there's not a lot of change happening. So are we doing drivers or are we doing teams?
I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to do drivers?
We'll start with teams since you said Red Bull. All right. So I will say probably Red Bull wins the constructors. Mercedes second, Ferrari third.
Okay. All right. I almost went with that, but because I'm biased and so are you, I'm gonna go Red Bull's gonna finish first, and then Ferrari and Mercedes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, yeah.
But I think it'll be closer this year than it was last year.
It should be. And I mean, if it would have been a lot closer if Ferrari had finished off those races at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Even last year.
Truth of the matter is Lewis Hamilton is still the GOAT, right? Like he's still, it's hard to argue with Max being the best driver on the circuit, but Lewis Hamilton is still up there until he proves otherwise, right? It's kind of like I hate to mention it, but it's kind of like the Tom Brady effect, right? He's still a GOAT. He's still the best until he has a season like he did this year with the Bucks. Okay. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with those in the top 3. And I'm gonna say number 4 this year.
Wait, we're still doing teams or you do drivers? Because mine are not the same order.
No, my number 4 will be Alpine. I think Alpine will finish in 4th again. Yeah.
I'll go with McLaren after.
I hope McLaren does, but
after Ocon knocks Gasly out.
I think Ocon's helmet alone gets them to 4th. Makes no sense.
We got Fernie's prediction. He's agreeing with you.
I like it.
And how was this for a stat?
103 wins. The rest of the field total has 90. Yeah.
Keeping in mind that Fernando Alonso's old ass is in the field, so it's not just because he's been there longer than everyone else. There's actually one of the drivers who won multiple championships has been there longer than he.
But the truth is, even Max I think has more wins than he does. So, but anyways,
does he? Maybe he does. Yeah, because now they do like 30 races a year. Back when Alonso's when he was like 12.
So who are your top? Who's your top 5 in the drivers' championship?
All right. Ooh, top 5. I'll go backwards. So 5, I'll go Sainz. 4, Checo. 3, Leclerc. 2, Max. 1 Hamilton.
Ooh, damn! I like it.
I believe in karma. That man should have another title, and I'm completely gonna blow up my face when they're a second off the pace. He's like, "Why is this piece of crap porpoising?"
Where did Hamilton finish this year?
He finished behind. No, he finished behind George Russell. He was way back. He wasn't even close. Man. But I'm totally just being like, look, the universe has to correct itself. Like I said, good thing about doing the show, it's right before testing tomorrow when I say 10 minutes in, he's like, why is this car bouncing all over the place?
Of course.
And then it'll be over. But I'll go for it, man.
All right, so I'm going to go.
Fernie came in with Max, Charles, Russell, Checo, Lewis, Sainz.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go Russell 5. I'm going to go 4. 4th, I'm going to go Sainz. I'm gonna go.
How much does that hurt you? You paused there, like, oh, Carlito.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4. I look. He's a good driver, man, but I love him. You know, he's my boy.
Oh, I can see the pain.
4 sides. I'm gonna go 3 Hamilton, 2 Leclerc, 1 Max. I'm gonna leave Checo out of the top 5.
I mean, that was the question, right? Which of the
It was tough. It was tough for me to leave Checo out of the top 5 just because he's in a he's in a Red
I
Bull,
mean, it was
so.
easy for me to leave Russell out because I hate him, but
Yeah,
it was probably a bad prediction. But it's
Yeah.
probably Checo. Yours is probably more accurate. But
It's tough. It's tough.
plus, I was trying to figure out how I had to get Checo up there because I had Red Bull winning the constructors and Hamilton winning the season. So I was like, I gotta have Checo up further, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
I think that because of that, right? Because of Max and Checo being so far apart, that I think that's why it's closer as well with Ferrari and Mercedes to be at the top and kind of compete. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a competition for second and third with Ferrari and Mercedes.
Well, I mean, that is another, wild card.
But these polls that Ferrari won, right, with Leclerc primarily. How many races, how many points are exchanged if they get a couple of things right in 4 or 5 extra races, right? Like, or it could be a difference of 50, 60 points, and that kind of swings things a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does. And I think that the other wild card is how are the number 2 drivers doing? Are they getting up there in the front? I mean, one of the things that not last year, but the year before, where what happened, but one of the reasons it was so close is because Bottas and Checo could not finish second. So it was always Hamilton and Max 1, 2 in some order, so you couldn't get that distance.
Right.
Now, if you're able to, hey, the Red Bull's the 3rd best car this weekend, and they're finishing 5th, then you get a much more interesting season, right? So the question is, can Ferrari and McLaren and Mercedes win races? Right. And if they do, can both their drivers actually capitalize? Because that's, if you start saying our car isn't the best this week when we finish 3rd versus 2nd, we're finishing 4th, we're finishing 5th, then it keeps everyone's point total down. You have a much more interesting season. Obviously, last year with Max just winning every race, it didn't matter. Yeah, and if it's that dominant, it doesn't matter. But if you start getting that where you have multiple teams winning, and also number 2 driver, hey, I'm not as fast as the guy in front, but I can finish 2nd. That's when you can start to really get more interesting. But last year obviously wasn't. But the year before that, all Checo or Bottas had to do was finish 2nd a few times, and that whole thing wouldn't have happened. But they couldn't really do it.
How do you feel about this kind of saying? I mean, if Leclerc learns how to manage his tires better, where does he end up? Because for me, that's been his biggest thing is tire management, and obviously strategy has been a piece of crap, but that's just Ferrari altogether. So obviously, if strategy is better, which we're kind of banking that it is, tire management for me with Leclerc, because how many times did he have the lead and just couldn't manage his tires, ran out of steam with those things, and strategy was bad, obviously, but the tire management was worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a factor, but then if he's managing his tires more, he's probably not going as fast.
That's the thing, right? If he can maintain his, I guess,
I think overall, though,
per se,
I think overall his racecraft needs to mature.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget which race. Again, it's so hard to remember the beginning of last season because there's so many races now, and because Max ended up winning so easily. But
I mean, he won the first what?
Yeah,
the first
there was
2 out of 3.
Oh God, was it San Marino? There was one race where I feel like he was in 2nd or something, and he was pushing when he shouldn't have been, and drove off into the wall, and that type of stuff. You got to bank those points. I think that's in his next step. Is just overall managing races.
Hey, there he is.
Look who joined.
There he is.
There's the man.
There he is. What's up, Evan? What's up, man? Shout out to Evan. Yeah, it's gonna be
I mean, we're gonna know. That's why it's good to do the predictions now when we can't look at the cars. So testing's the next 23rd, 24th, 25th. So we'll know more
tomorrow. Testing starts tomorrow, right?
Which is, I guess, technically.
Are they putting any of that on ESPN or anything?
Is it on the? It might be on F1 TV, right? We still have that.
Oh yeah, we still have that.
I'm assuming I gotta check to make sure they.
Please.
I mean, no, it's the same login. I've been logged into it, and we disconnected from.
It says something that's no. Oh, I have to update it.
Anyway, yeah, whatever. We'll talk offline on that, but yeah, no, it should still work.
I'm sure that testing will be on F1 TV for sure.
It should be, but yeah. So we're gonna get a first look at the. All right, we'll give shout out to unofficial sponsor Miller's Ale House.
222 margaritas and wings and crab leg sale. I might pass on the crab legs, Evan. I might pass on the crab legs. The wings, I'm all about, man.
Okay, on Sky Sports or F1 TV.
I guess I have to sign in here.
We'll I don't even remember what the account info is.
Yeah, we'll do it offline, but yeah, I'm sure it's.
It is on. I mean, it's kind of. It's hard to read these things. More laps being put in, just period, is always a good thing because that means you're getting more data off of it.
Right.
You don't know what fuel program people are on, so sometimes cars look fast, but they actually just didn't have any fuel in the car. So it's hard to read too much in it. I will say, good sign for Mercedes if you don't see it bouncing down the straights.
Well, they showed them. They showed I saw a video recently of them taking out the new car out at Silverstone, and it was Lewis. It was Lewis driving the new car in the rain, so he was on wet tires or intermediate. I can't remember. The one with the blue stripe is wet.
That's
right?
wet, yeah.
Yeah, so he was on the wets, and he had there was a little bit of bouncing, but then again, it was wet also, so I don't think he was.
Yeah, well, those they are allowed to take cars out for promotional shoots and stuff, but they're limited in what they can do there. So so it won't even. It also won't be the right. It won't entirely. A lot of times it's the new livery with a bunch of old parts on it because they're limited in what they're allowed to put on there because you're not allowed to get data and cheat. It's just for
until tomorrow.
For marketing. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. Well, that's the official test for allowed to actually.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Hey, great first show, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Excited about this. We'll be back on next Wednesday to kind of preview.
And hopefully Moni's not on the red carpet, so she can actually show up.
For sure. And we'll preview Bahrain and everything as the first race of the season gets underway next weekend over in Bahrain again. Make sure you guys check us out here every Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. And tune in. It'll be fun. We will definitely have some special guests again this year and this season. I guess it's HTA season 2, baby, hitting the Apex season 2, and we'll have a new intro apparently. So
I mean,
we'll have
I should have told you. Now you said it. Now you actually build it.
Now you got to do it. Yeah. Now you got to.
Man, I had that good one for the World Cup. We used it like twice.
Hey, that was fun.
It was a lot of work for not much payoff. But
yeah. What are you gonna do?
I'll be on the full show. Awesome.
If
you could let Moni know, it would be good if she shows up. That would be.
Yeah. Maybe you guys can put some pressure on her too to get it together. All right, man.
Working business.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday night.